Well, good morning and welcome back to the channel. It rained all night last night. Again, for those of you who live in southeast Queensland or northern New South Wales, you'll know what the experience is like. But the day looks to be pretty good, so it's worth a crack to do a loop today of Lake Moogerah. The round trip from home will be around 300 kilometres, but I'll start it in Canungra. For those who want to come down from Brisbane or northern New South Wales, it's about 225 a round trip, Canungra back to Canungra. Go out through Beaudesert, Rathdowney, and through some of the back roads until we get to Mount Alford, and it's not very far from there. Go through Rathdowney, Kalbar for lunch, and then head back again. So look forward to taking you on along for the ride. We'll get started as soon as we hit some back roads. It's 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning and I don't expect a lot of traffic between here and Canungra. This is the top of the Numinbah Valley Road, so it's a bit of a shortcut through the top of the range and then out to Canungra itself. I'll meet some of the boys for breakfast on the way through. Won't stay there too long, but Sundays, that's the thing you've got to do. Too early yet, and there's not too many here, so it'll be easy to get a park. Normally there's about a dozen come out on a Sunday from Brisbane and the Gold Coast and northern New South Wales. We all catch up for a nice breakfast, but I won't stay long and I'll be back on the road. Just approaching Rathdowney now, a lot of damage on the roads between Beaudesert and here because of all the rain. I've covered this place many times before, however it is worth a stop at the general store to get a coffee before heading to Maroon on the Rathdowney Beaudesert Road, and we'll be turning off towards Mount Alford. The Maroon pastoral property was established in 1843, and there's a small cemetery here that has graves going back to 1856. The village suffered one of the greatest losses in percentage terms of any community in World War I, with 40% of the men who enlisted never returning. Out of the 35 families that lived here, 42 men signed up and 17 were killed from the small dairy district, and it had a lasting impact on the growth of the village. Turn off the Rathdowney to Boona Road at Ganthorpe Road, which is the back way to Mount Alford. It's only about 15 kilometres. I thought I'd stop here and have a bit of a leg stretch. Actually, there's a lot of water, as in looked like dams. The road's clearly been underwater for a while, and it was, as I came through them, absolutely full of birds. The birds haven't seen too many motorbikes, and they've all taken off. So there was not much to get any pictures of here. So I'll mount up and go the last 5 or 6 k's into Mount Alford. It's a really good back road and a nice run. Mount Alford was previously known as Recampill, and the name was changed named after Thomas Alford, who managed Coochen Station from 1868 onwards. A general store was opened here in the little town in 1888, and the building was then rebuilt in 1913. It closed only in the late 80s and was purchased about 10 years ago, and is now home to the Scenic Rim Brewery. Road runs around behind the lake and reconnects with the Cunningham Highway. I've not been on it before, but I believe there's a bit of dirt at about halfway mark. In 1906, dairy farms of between 81 and 261 acres were sold here as the Moogerah Paddock Estate. The estate was centred around the Colsons and Reynolds Creek, and this land, all of this land now actually is under the Moogerah Dam. One of the advertised benefits of this estate was its proximity to the proposed Via Rector Railway, which was going to be a straight line from Brisbane to Sydney, but it was never built, so the area didn't sort of go any further than that. The population today is about 220 people. This dirt really is a pleasant surprise. The road itself's quite good, considering all the rain the area's had. Sure, it's a little bit marbly in places, but absolutely a great run through here, with some pretty interesting scenery backdrops from the back of the dam. Back on the Cunningham Highway now, so heading towards Aratula. Might stop there for some coffee and fuel. We'll just see how it goes. It can sometimes be pretty busy. Well, the bakery's pretty full today. A lot of day trippers out on a Sunday, so I'll head back to the BP, get some fuel, and wait till I get to Kalbar for a coffee. Okay, now it's time to head to the front of the dam, which this is the part that I think is the most picturesque. We'll stop first at the picnic area and the dam wall, and then head down to the very front of it, where we get some great pictures, and I'll be able to get the drone up for a few shots as well. I hope a few of the pictures that follow whet your appetite to ride up here and have a look for yourself. I didn't stay here too long because the weather looked like it was changing, although there hasn't been any rain so far. And so I'll take a few pictures, get the drone up for a little while, and let you see a selection of the shots that I took. Once you leave the picnic area, turn right and follow the road around to the front of the dam. It's not too far. Once you've passed all of the beautiful views, do a U-turn and turn around where the caravan park is, and then head back to find a good park where you can stop and take some pictures and have a bit of a look around. This is the road that'll take us back to the Sassifern Road. We're only 14 kilometres from Kalbar here, which is will be our next stop for something to eat and a cup of coffee. But first of all, stay here for about an hour anyway. I will, and take some pictures. This is one of my favourite locations to take photographs from when visiting the lake. It's wide open, and you can get in here into this paddock any time, even though the signs say private property. There aren't usually too many cattle down this way. There was today, so I had to be a little bit more careful just in case. But it is a great spot, and even in the middle of the day, the light can be just right for taking some pictures. So bring your camera and put it on your bike when you come this way next. Okay, let's head for Kalbar and get some coffee. Been long overdue. As you will have noticed, there are plenty of cattle wandering across the road, but they all seem to be pretty comfortable with motor vehicles and motorbikes. When I get to the Sassifern Road, I'm just going to pull off and look at a couple of pioneer graves. They were meant to be buried in the town of Sassifern, but it never happened, and I'll explain why later. In June 1846, John Perryman built the Bush Inn, which was located on the rise just above these graves. This was, in the old days, this was the cemetery. The town was surveyed in 1856. However, the town was never established because, like Moogerah, the railway line never eventuated. For many years, there was a telegraph receiving office, or a post office as we know it today, located also on the top of the nearby hill. However, it did close, or it lasted until 1950. The town eventually was established 8 kilometres away and was named Engelsberg. But due to the anti-German sentiment in World War I, Engelsberg was renamed Kalbar, which is what we know it as today. Of the 3 remaining graves, they were all buried in the 1850s and 1860s. And one of these graves is the adult daughter who stayed in the area all her life of the first publican. This area was formerly known as Sassifern Scrub before it became Engelberg, a small rural town. In 1916, during World War I, it was when it was renamed to Kalbar. In 1877, there were 17,000 plus acres resumed from the Sassifern pastoral run and offered for selection for a town in 1977. By 1890, the town had developed, and what was then Sassifern really started to progress as a settlement. There was an early storekeeper here, August Engels, and hence the name Engelsberg. The town did have a very rich German history, having been established almost exclusively by German settlers, and reflected today in the many Anglo-German road and street names, as well as the local German settler descendant surnames. Today, much of the historical architectural interest of the town is really in Edwards and George Streets. Unfortunately, a disastrous fire in 1920 razed most of the buildings in Edward Street, including the original School of Arts Hall. The Bickertons building, which sits on the corner of Edward and George Streets, is the only building on that side of the road to have survived the fire. The population today of the area is about 1,200 people. The last time I was here, which was about 10 or 12 years ago, there was one cafe or bakery open and the pub. It's certainly changed since then, which is great to see. There's 3 cafes here now and they're all fantastic. The pub's still going strong and there are more stores that have opened as well. There's just one more thing to see on the way out of town, an old church that was built 96 years ago. Okay, now we'll follow the Boona to Beaudesert Road, go through Beaudesert and then head back towards Canungra and finish up the ride there. As an older rider, the thrill of motorbike riding hasn't left. That feeling of freedom with the wind rushing past, the roar of the engine and the open road stretching out ahead. For many, and me too, it's an escape from the everyday, a way to connect with the world in a raw and exhilarating way. Motorbike riding can be both an adventure and a form of meditation. The need to focus and be present in the moment can make everything else fade away. Once you've passed through Beaudesert, take the old Canungra Road. It goes through Badaba, which is all of the horse adjusting areas. Absolutely beautiful run, and you get a little bit of dirt as well on the way back to the blacktop. But it is an interesting and it's almost remote ride, and yet you're not very far from Canungra at all. Well, nearly back to Canungra now. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I'm going to stop here and grab some fuel and certainly have a coffee or two before heading back to the coast. This is a really nice loop. Even for a Sunday, on the roads that mattered, the remote ones out the back, there wasn't a lot of traffic and I wouldn't have seen more than 10 cars out there. So midweek it's even quieter and you've got many of these places to yourself. I'll put the map links in the comments below, so I hope you didn't get too saddle sore along the way. Look forward to speaking with you all again soon. Enjoy the ride if you get a chance to do it. Bye.